Hello everyone, welcome to Creepytime Ghost Story channel, where we bring you real horror stories broadcast every day. Tonight we start our journey at 7,500 feet above sea level, where the mountain air of Estes Park feels crisp enough to cut. The sky over Colorado has that thin, high-altitude sharpness, like the cold is pressing in from space itself. A young man named Michael stands outside the grand white facade of the Stanley Hotel, its wide porch glowing faintly under yellow light. Even from the gravel parking lot, he can see the rows of windows staring back at him, some lit, some dark, some maybe watching. You can almost hear the wind picking up, rattling the big glass doors. And here's your reality check. You probably won't survive this, at least not if you start breaking the rules we're going to talk about tonight. So before you get too comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really like what I do here. And tell me in the comments, where are you right now and what time is it for you? Now, turn down the lights, turn on the fan for some soothing background music, and let's go on our journey tonight. Michael pushes inside. The lobby smells faintly of polished wood and something older, like a faint whisper of cigar smoke from 100 years ago. He sets his bag down at the front desk. The concierge, an older man with sharp eyes and a mustache trimmed with military precision, checks him in without much small talk. Room 217, the man says, sliding over a heavy brass key. Avoid wandering too far on your first night. This place is easy to get lost in. His tone makes it sound less like advice, more like a warning. Outside, the wind rattles again, this time against the tall old windows. Michael glances toward the main staircase, broad, dark wood, carpet running up like a river of deep red. The banister feels smooth under his hand as he climbs. Along the walls hang black and white photos. The hotel in its early days, flapper-era guests smiling in the sunshine, workers in suspenders building the grand structure in the 1902nd. One photo catches his eye, dated 1912, the year a lightning storm knocked out the power for 3 days. The caption mentions guests sleeping in the ballroom to keep warm. That same week, a miner from the nearby hills was found dead just outside the property, his cause of death undetermined. Locals still argue whether it was exposure or something else. At the landing, Michael hears footsteps behind him. He turns nothing, just a long hallway stretching away, lit by warm sconces that somehow feel too dim. The air up here is cooler, thinner. He unlocks his door and steps into room 217. The room is elegant but dated brass lamps, a 4-poster bed, a wardrobe with a mirror in the door. The air smells faintly of lavender, though the flowers on the desk are fake. His phone shows 1 bar of signal, flickering in and out. Through the window, the mountains loom black against the starlit sky. He thinks he sees movement in one of the dark windows across the courtyard, someone peering out. When he blinks, it's gone. Downstairs, a sudden thunk echoes through the floor, like a heavy door closing somewhere far away. Michael tells himself it's just the old building settling. But here's the thing, the Stanley Hotel is more than a pretty facade. Built in 1909 by inventor freelance Oscar Stanley, it was meant to be a luxury retreat for wealthy East Coasters seeking mountain air. What Stanley didn't expect was the reputation it would gain for visitors who never checked out. Over the decades, there have been documented accounts from both staff and guests' footsteps in empty halls, children's laughter with no children in sight, piano music from a locked ballroom. The first night is when the building sizes you up. And there's an unspoken rule here. Never ignore the feeling that you're being watched. Michael doesn't know that yet, but he will. By midnight, he's unpacked just enough to feel settled. He sits on the bed, scrolling through his phone, when a flicker of movement in the mirror catches his eye. Not his own reflection, something behind him. shifting. He turns, but the room is empty. He tries to shake it off, telling himself it's jet lag and the altitude messing with him. Still, he slides the security chain across the door. Outside, the wind whistles low, almost like a voice. And down in the lobby, the concierge quietly locks the main doors for the night. Somewhere on the second floor, a hallway light blinks. Once, twice, then steadies again. The building is settling in, and Michael has no idea that before dawn, he'll already be tempted to break the first forbidden rule. The clock in room 217 ticks softly, almost like a faint heartbeat against the silence. Michael lies back, trying to sleep, but the bed feels uneven. It's not the mattress, more like the air itself is tilting in the room. His eyes roam toward the wardrobe mirror again, and for a second, he wonders if the reflection is slightly delayed. At 12:37 a.m., there's a sound in the hallway. Slow, deliberate footsteps, one after another, accompanied by the faint creak of the old wooden floor. He sits up, listening. The steps don't pass his door. They stop right outside. No knock, just stillness. Michael's heart beats faster. Maybe another guest got lost. But then he remembers what the concierge said. Avoid wandering too far on your first night. The words feel heavier now. He pulls on his sweatshirt and opens the door just a crack. The hallway is dim and empty, stretching in both directions. The air is colder out here, carrying a faint scent of dust and something metallic iron, maybe, or old blood. This is where Rule 1 comes in. It's not written anywhere in the hotel guide, but locals know it. The hallway you shouldn't walk twice. Guests whisper that once you pass it in both directions on the same night, you're inviting whatever's in it to follow you back to your room. Michael doesn't know that yet. He steps out, glancing both ways. His bare feet are silent on the carpet. The sconces hum faintly, giving off a dull amber light that makes the wallpaper look older than it should. Halfway down, he notices one frame on the wall hanging crooked. It's a photo of a woman in Edwardian dress, unsmiling, standing in front of the hotel. Her eyes seem sharper than the other portraits, like she's looking right at him. He reaches to straighten it, but the moment his fingers touch the frame, he hears another creak right behind him. He turns, expecting to see another guest. No one's there. That's when the atmosphere changes. The air seems thicker, harder to breathe. The lights buzz a little louder. And from the far end of the hallway, just beyond the last sconce, something shifts in the shadows. It's not a clear figure, more like the outline of someone standing still. Michael's pulse jumps. He doesn't want to walk toward it, but the way back to his room means passing the same stretch of hallway twice. He hesitates. The shadow moves. He forces himself to turn, heading in the opposite direction. His footsteps feel louder than they should, the carpet swallowing the sound, yet somehow echoing in his own skull. He glances back once, just once, and sees the end of the hall empty again. By the time he reaches the stairwell, his hands are cold and his mouth is dry. He grips the banister, its wood cool and smooth, and starts down toward the lobby. The main floor feels warmer, almost welcoming, though the fire in the stone hearth is nearly out. In the corner, a grandfather clock ticks with deep, deliberate beats. Michael catches sight of the concierge again, standing by the reception desk, his eyes fixed on him. "Couldn't sleep?" the man asks, voice low. Michael shakes his head. "You've already walked it, haven't you?" Michael frowns. "Walked what?" The concierge just stares for a beat too long, then nods toward the staircase. "Don't walk it twice tonight, that's all." Michael wants to ask what that means, but the man has already turned away, fiddling with the old brass keys on the wall behind him. A shiver crawls up Michael's spine. He decides maybe it's time to go back to bed. But as he heads back upstairs, yes, through the same hallway, he doesn't realize he's just broken rule 1. By morning, something will be in room 217 with him. Michael wakes before sunrise, unsure if he actually slept. His mouth tastes metallic, and there's a heaviness in the air, as if the room hasn't been opened to fresh oxygen in years. The first thing he notices is the mirror. It's facing the window exactly as it was last night, but the glass looks wetter. Like a faint mist has condensed on the surface, even though the air is dry. He pushes himself out of bed, the floorboards creaking faintly beneath his bare feet, and approaches it. The reflection is wrong. The light in the room is dim, yet the version of himself in the mirror seems to be standing in brighter conditions, sunlight spilling in from a window that doesn't exist. His mirror self's face is pale, lips slightly parted, as if mid-whisper. Michael takes a step closer. The reflection doesn't... He freezes. The concierge's warning from last night echoes faintly in his mind, though it doesn't explain this. Still, he can't help but lean in until his nose is almost touching the cold glass. There's a faint vibration beneath the surface, like a humming tension. Then, the reflection's eyes shift, not the pupils, but the entire eyeballs rotating toward the bed behind Michael. Instinctively, he spins around. The bed is empty, rumpled just as he left it. No one there. When he turns back, the reflection is normal again. Michael exhales slowly, trying to convince himself he's just tired. The mind playing tricks. But something nags at him. In the brief moment of wrongness, his mirror self sweatshirt had been missing, replaced by an old-fashioned nightshirt. It's then he remembers Rule 2 something a fellow traveler mentioned in the hotel's online reviews before it was mysteriously deleted. If your mirror faces a window, never look into it before the first light hits your skin. Michael has no idea why the rule exists, but his gut tells him he's already crossed it. As if on cue, the piano starts. It's soft at first, the notes floating up from somewhere below tentative, almost hesitant. Michael strains to hear, realizing the tune is vaguely familiar, a slow waltz. He grabs his phone to record it, but the battery is dead, though he'd plugged it in before bed. The music grows a touch louder. He should stay put, he knows he should, but the sound tugs at him, pulling him toward the hallway. His bare feet find the carpet again, the cold hitting his skin with each step. The hallway seems longer this morning. The sconces fewer. He follows the music down the stairs, through the dim lobby where the fireplace is now completely cold, and toward a corridor that leads to the ballroom. The sound is richer here, the melody almost mournful. The double doors to the ballroom are slightly ajar. He pushes one open. Inside, dust motes swirl in the faint light filtering through tall windows. The grand piano stands in the center of the room. It's lit open, keys moving under invisible fingers. The waltz slows, then stops abruptly on a discordant note. Michael's chest tightens. He steps inside the air cooler and approaches the piano. Its keys are still settling from their final press, clicking softly back into place. On the bench, there's a folded piece of paper. It's old, the edges yellowed, the handwriting elegant and looping. Don't follow the piano after midnight. But the clock on the wall reads 11:58 a.m. Michael backs away, pulse quickening. Then, from the far side of the ballroom, he hears a woman's voice soft, humming the same waltz. It's coming from a door that's slowly opening. Michael's first thought is that the humming is a recording, maybe part of some elaborate hotel gimmick. But the sound is too textured, too human, the faint tremor in the voice catching on the breath between verses. The door on the far side of the ballroom is now open just enough to show a sliver of the hallway beyond. It's darker there, no windows, just a line of antique sconces casting uneven shadows. The humming continues. Michael glances back at the grand piano, its black lacquer surface reflecting distorted shapes. For a fleeting moment, he thinks he sees someone sitting at the bench again, but when he focuses, it's empty. He takes a step toward the open door. The wood under his feet shifts. No, not the wood. The entire floor feels like it's breathing, as though the air beneath the ballroom is pushing upward in slow pulses. Another step. The humming grows louder, now joined by the faint scrape of shoes on wood. Michael reaches the doorway and peers inside. The corridor is narrower than the hotel's other hallways, almost as if it wasn't part of the original blueprint. The wallpaper is peeling, revealing older layers beneath deep crimson, then faded gold. At the far end of the corridor stands a woman in a floor-length gown, her back to him. The fabric shimmers faintly, though the light here is weak. She sways gently as she hums, as if dancing with someone invisible. Michael clears his throat. Hello? The humming stops. The woman's head turns slightly, just enough for him to see a cheekbone, pale and sharp. Then she speaks in a voice so soft it's almost drowned by the silence. Do you hear the rain? Michael frowns. There's no rain, only that thin mountain wind outside. Before he can answer, the lights along the corridor flicker. Once, twice. The woman is suddenly closer. Not by much, just a few feet, but he's certain she didn't walk. His instincts scream to retreat, but his legs feel locked in place. She tilts her head, the motion slow and deliberate, and Michael sees that her eyes are empty. Not white, not black, just absence, as though whatever should be there has been scooped out. A memory surfaces unbidden. The concierge's voice last night mentioning an accident best left in the past. This must be it. In 1923, a wedding party filled this very ballroom. The bride disappeared between dances, last seen stepping out with a man no one could later identify. Guests claimed to hear piano music drifting from a service corridor that, according to hotel records, didn't exist. Michael swallows hard, his mouth dry. I think I should go. The woman smiles faintly, lips curling without warmth. Then you already know the next rule. Her voice is lower now, almost a whisper. The door that locks from the outside. Michael glances behind him. The ballroom door has shut. A click echoes through the space, followed by another like bolts sliding into place. The woman steps forward, slow and graceful. Once it closes, she says, it remembers you. Michael's pulse thunders in his ears. He lunges for the ballroom door, twisting the handle. It won't budge. He slams his shoulder into it, pain flaring along his arm, still locked. When he turns back, the corridor is empty. The woman is gone. But the humming is right behind him. Michael doesn't look back. He shoves his weight against the door one last time and, to his surprise, it swings open not into the lobby, but into a different hallway entirely. The wallpaper here is the same faded red as in the service corridor, and the air carries a faint, metallic tongue like wet coins left in the sundae. Somewhere above him, a floorboard creaks, then another directly overhead. The fourth floor. Michael remembers the guy's words from earlier in the week. The fourth floor is closed for renovations, but the tone had been too careful, too rehearsed, as if the phrase were meant to hide something. He walks forward, each step making the old boards beneath him moan. The hallway stretches on far longer than it should. Every door he passes is numbered incorrectly 302, 317, 289, like the numbers themselves are rearranging. A narrow stairwell appears on his left. Its railing is cold under his hand, colder than the rest of the air. He climbs slowly, the creaks of the old steps mixing with the faint rhythm of his own heartbeat. Halfway up, he hears it, not humming this time, but whispering. Multiple voices, layered over one another, speaking too fast for him to understand. It's like standing outside a door behind which a heated argument is taking place. At the top of the stairs, a single door stands open. Beyond it, a balcony overlooks the mountains. He steps through. The wind is sharp up here, cutting against his skin. The night sky stretches wide, cloudless, the moon casting silver over the snow-capped peaks. But what draws his attention is the shadow. It's not his. It stands to his left, tall and thin, its outline sharp against the balcony floor. When Michael glances over, there's no one there. The whispers stop. From somewhere deep inside the hotel, a low, resonant thump shakes the walls, as if something massive just shifted position. He takes a step toward the railing and freezes. There's a small brass plaque bolted into the wood, tarnished by decades of wind and ice. The engraving is barely legible, but he can make out the words. Rule 4, do not stand here when the moon is full. Michael swallows. His eyes flick to the mountains, their slopes silvered by moonlight. He doesn't need to look up to know the moon is at its fullest tonight. The shadow moves. Not like a living thing, there's no natural sway, no shifting with the wind. Instead, it slides, its edges bending and distorting like ink bleeding into paper. It stretches toward him, spilling across the balcony boards. Michael stumbles backward, but the shadow's tip is already reaching his feet. A sudden rush of wind slams the balcony door shut behind him. The handle jerks violently, twisting on its own before locking with a sound like snapping bone. From the darkness below the balcony, something sighs long, slow, and heavy enough to rattle the wood under his feet. And then, in a voice that sounds like it's coming from inside his skull, the shadow speaks. Step over the railing. The fall won't hurt, not the way you think. Michael's hands clutch the railing so hard the old wood bites into his skin. His mind screams to run, to do anything but obey, but his feet traitorous, trembling inch toward the edge. Michael forces himself back from the balcony's edge, his breath coming in short bursts. The shadow hesitates, its inky form rippling like a flag in the wind only it can feel. Then, as if sensing his refusal, it retracts, sliding away, curling along the boards until it vanishes beneath the balcony door. The lock clicks open. Michael stares at the handle for a moment, half expecting it to twist again. It doesn't tie. He pushes the door open and steps inside, shutting it behind him. The hallway beyond is dimmer now, the yellow wall sconces flickering like candle flame, and the whispers are back. They don't sound like they're in the walls anymore, they're above him. Following, he moves down the hallway, counting the doors in an attempt to ground himself. 1, 2, 3, then stops. Every single door is ajar by an inch. From inside each room, the faint scent of lavender drifts out. The air feels heavier here, warmer, almost humid. He catches himself listening for the sound of someone breathing inside the nearest room. There's none, but as he takes another step, one of the doors creaks open a little farther. Michael, his name whispered from within. He freezes. That voice had weight to it, like it was being pushed through molasses. Against every instinct, he peers into the room. It's furnished, but in a style decades out of date, thick velvet curtains, a brass bed frame, a wardrobe with an oval mirror. The bed is made, the sheets perfectly smoothed, as though waiting for a guest. In the corner, standing beside the wardrobe, is a man in an old-fashioned bellhop uniform. His skin is gray, his eyes sunken deep into shadow, but his mouth is curved into a polite, professional smile. "Your room is ready, sir," the bellhop says. His voice is steady, formal, except for the faint tremor underneath. Michael takes a step back. "I'm not staying here." The bellhop's smile doesn't change, but his head tilts slightly, like a marionette's. "Guests on the 4th floor do not choose, they accept." Michael tries to step away, but his foot catches on the warped wood of the threshold. By the time he regains his balance, the bellhop has moved impossibly fast now, standing right in front of him. From somewhere deep in the hotel's history, Michael recalls a story. In the early 1902, a young bellhop had been found dead in one of these rooms, a victim of foul play that was never solved. Some guests still claim to see him wandering the halls, offering rooms to the unbooked. Do ghosts really exist? Michael wonders aloud, or do places like this just hold on to people? The bellhop leans closer, his breath smelling faintly of dust and mildew. "Would you like me to turn down your bed?" Michael shoves past him, breaking into a run. The hallway bends unexpectedly, leading him to a small sitting area lit by a single lamp. Against the far wall is an elevator, its iron grate half open. He rushes toward it, only to stop short when he sees the plaque bolted to the wall beside it. Rule 5. Never ride the elevator from the 4th floor alone. The elevator car is empty. A cold draft seeps out from inside it, carrying with it the faint sound of a woman crying. Michael's pulse pounds in his ears. He could take the stairs, but something in the air tells him the stairs will no longer lead where he expects. He edges closer to the elevator, peering into the dim interior. A single bare light bulb swings gently from the ceiling, though there's no movement in the air. The crying grows louder. From the shadows in the back of the car, a pale hand curls around the frame of the doorway. Long fingers, the nails chipped and darkened. Slowly, the rest of her emerges, a woman in a tattered dress, her eyes red-rimmed and shining as though she's been weeping for hours. "Help me," she says. Her voice is desperate, cracked. Michael swallows hard. I can't." The woman's expression twists into something colder. "Then you'll never leave this floor." Before he can move, the elevator doors slam shut with a deafening clang. The clang of the elevator doors echoes in Michael's chest like a gunshot. He stumbles backward, the sound reverberating through the empty hallway. The crying has stopped. The air feels too still, as if the entire 4th floor is holding its breath. Behind him, the bellhop's voice carries softly through the dim corridor. Guests do not refuse the Stanley. Michael doesn't turn around. He sprints toward the far end of the hall, his footsteps thudding against the carpet runner. But with every corner he turns, the layout changes, doors where there weren't doors before, walls stretching longer than they should, like the hotel is reshaping itself to keep him here. He spots a set of double doors ahead. They're propped open just enough for light to spill out a warm, golden glow that feels out of place in this warped, shadowed floor. He pushes through. The room beyond is a ballroom, grand but faded. Chandeliers hang low, their crystals coated in dust. The parquet floor is cracked in places, but in the center stands a polished black piano, its lid open, the keys gleaming under the light. Someone is playing. A low, deliberate melody spills out, each note lingering a beat too long. Michael knows this rule. He read it earlier in the binder at the front desk. Rule 6. Never follow the piano after midnight. His watch reads 12:03 a.m. The pianist is a woman in a high-necked 1922nd gown, her hair pinned in a style long out of fashion. Her fingers glide over the keys without hesitation, her back straight and elegant. She doesn't acknowledge him. Michael edges closer. "Do you work here?" She keeps playing, I think I'm lost, he says, his voice sounding too small in the cavernous room. Her hands pause, not on the final chord, just stopping mid-phrase, as if the music had been strangled. Slowly, she turns her head toward him. Her eyes are pitch black. Lost? She whispers. No, you're remembered. Michael stumbles back, knocking over a chair. The sound is deafening in the silence that follows. She rises from the bench with slow, deliberate grace. Her dress whispers against the floor as she approaches. When the living walk the fourth floor, she says, they carry their warmth with them, but warmth fades, and when it's gone, you belong to us. He can't move. His legs feel locked, his chest tight. She's only a few feet away now. Then, bang! The ballroom doors slam shut. The lights flicker violently, plunging the room into darkness between bursts of blinding white. In one of the flashes, Michael sees her inches from his face. In the next, she's gone. And in the third, he's no longer in the ballroom. He's standing in the elevator. The bare light bulb swings overhead. The metal grate is closed, and the elevator is moving. The floor indicator above the doors clicks past numbers that don't exist. 5, 6, 7, then starts cycling backward 3, 2, 1, before flashing B, basement. A deep, grinding hum fills the air. Michael's throat tightens. No, no, no. The elevator stops with a jolt. The doors creak open. Beyond them is a long, narrow hallway lit by a row of naked bulbs. The walls are raw concrete, damp with water stains. And at the far end, barely visible in the dim light, someone is standing. Tall, thin, motionless. Michael's gut churns. Something about the way the figure holds itself is wrong, its head tilted too far to one side, its arms hanging at unnatural angles. Then, from somewhere behind him, the bellhop's voice drips through the air again. This floor isn't for guests, but you insisted. The figure at the end of the hall takes a single jerking step toward him. Michael has to decide, step into the basement or stay in the elevator and let it close, not knowing where it will take him next. Either choice feels like walking willingly into a trap. The elevator light flickers once, twice, 3 times, and the doors start to close on their own. Michael slams his hand against the elevator door before it can shut. He can still hear the figure's slow, jerking footsteps in the basement corridor, each one scraping the damp floor. The rules flash through his head every page of the binder at the front desk, every whispered warning he overheard. Some rules were clear, others were meant to be pieced together. And one, the very first, wasn't about a specific place at all. It was about the order of things. Always follow the rules in sequence. Skip one, and the hotel will decide for you. The elevator hums, impatient. Michael's pulse hammers in his ears. He realizes now that he has broken almost all of them. He walked the hallway twice. He stared into the mirror after dark. He followed the piano after midnight. He stepped onto the 4th floor balcony. The Stanley hasn't been haunting him. It's been testing him. The figure in the basement tilts its head farther, the vertebrae in its neck clicking audibly. It's close enough now that Michael can make out the faint pattern of an old bellhop uniform on its frame. The same one he saw upstairs. The voice is different this time, a low rasp. You didn't follow the rules, Michael, so now you are one. The elevator lurches violently, as though rejecting his indecision. Michael staggers inside and slams the grate shut. The lift drops like a freefall, the chain screaming in protest. The floor indicators go wild, numbers spinning forward, backward, then freezing on 4. The doors slide open. The 4th floor hallway stretches before him again. Only now, every single room door stands wide open. The air is heavy with the smell of old wood and something faintly metallic. From each doorway, figures watch him guess in clothing from decades past. Their faces are pale, their expressions somewhere between pity and hunger. They don't move toward him. They're waiting. Michael runs. The corridor bends, stretches, repeats itself. He turns corner after corner until he skids to a stop in front of a door he recognizes, room 217. The mirror. The last time he saw it, it was just a reflection of his own exhausted face. Now, as he steps inside, the mirror is fogged over. Words are scrawled across it in a dripping hand. The last rule saves you only if you believe it. His breathing is shallow. He wipes the glass with his sleeve. His reflection stares back at him. Only behind it there's movement. The woman from the ballroom stands just over his shoulder, her black eyes unblinking. She leans forward, whispering, "You leave when you know you've already gone." Michael blinks, and the room is empty. The door behind him creaks open. Daylight spills in real daylight, bright and cold, the kind that burns the edges of your vision after too long in the dark. He steps through. The hallway outside is bustling with normal hotel life. Guests in modern clothes, a cart rattling past, the hum of a vacuum cleaner. He's in the lobby again. The front desk clerk looks up from her paperwork. "Checking out?" she asks casually, as though nothing's happened. Michael swallows, his voice rough. "Yes." She slides a form across the desk. "Sign here? Oh, and one more thing." Her eyes flick up to meet his. They're the exact same pitch black as the woman in the ballroom. "Next time, Michael, follow the rules." The pen in his hand feels heavier than it should. Outside, the wind shifts over the mountains. And somewhere in the depths of the hotel, a piano starts playing again.